Can you tell the difference? Which one is which? And that right there is why that color is still legendary. Those are 3 different formulations. Welcome back to the World's Worst Fishing, everybody. I'm your host, Chris Jones, and I was thinking about it the other day. I was kind of looking through some of my colorants, and I was like, you know what? I have a few colors from way back in the day that are pretty special, and unfortunately we can no longer get. In the current bait color market, right? Some of these colors are no longer available, they're discontinued, even some brands are no longer around. And I got to thinking about it. What if I could take one of those and see if we can make it with today's pigments, right? The color, I would say, is still the envy of all Junebug colors, especially for those who are lucky enough to have been in the hobby long enough to have had this color, is old Junebug 125 or Junebug 125 from Lure Works. It's been extinct for many years, and it is still, I would say, creme de la creme of Junebug colors. I wonder if we can resurrect it. Let's go get it and find out. Alright, welcome to the non-glamorous side of the World's Worst Fishing Lab. So up here on our liquid colorant shelf, way in the back, here it is, Junebug 125. As you can see, it has not been used in a minute. So we're going to have to really do some work to get that mixed up and back to its correct ratios. So we're going to shake that up for probably a while off camera, and then we're going to take some of our current pigments, see if we can recreate this monster. It is a beautiful color, and I'll be tickled pink, actually, or I'll be tickled Junebug if we actually can get close. Alright, so here's sort of what I think we're going to be playing with today. So the game plan is we're going to obviously use the Junebug 125 by itself. We're going to make some samples, okay? I have not decided on the mold yet, but we're going to make some sample baits using the 125 straight out of the bottle. And then we're going to use our 2 closest pigments, okay? These are very common. A lot of people have Lure Works Black Grape, and a lot of people have Dead on Plastics Electric Grape, all right? And then we've got some Green Flake, obviously, because we're making Junebug today. So that's going to go in all of our samples. And we're basically going to try to use these 2 pigments and mod them to see if we can match the Junebug 125 and sort of resurrect that look, okay? Because I don't have much left, and I doubt I'm ever going to get any more. And of course, every good bait starts with good plastic. So we're going to go ahead and mix up some of this, make the magic happen there. Oh yeah. Alright, plastic going in. We're going to start it off at 3 minutes. Alright, here we go. We're going to start with a very familiar drop count, just so that we know what saturation we're dealing with. 40 drops per cup of 125. Or not. Come on, we can do this. Let's just call that 17. It was always a really thick color. You can see it's still really thick, and I shook it and shook it and shook it and shook it. The only thing I did not do is add new plasticizer to it. But that right there looks about like I want. Oh yeah, just look at that. That is why it is legendary. That is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now there's only one thing to do, is to mix that up a little bit more. We're going to add our green flake. Right, some turquoise flake back there. And then we're going to make our test baits, and then good luck, wish me luck trying to match this. It is flake time. And we're going to stick with just the small size flake here. Oh yeah. And we're just going to keep it simple today, just the one size of green flake. A lot of Junebugs have several sizes. But for today's demonstration, look at that. We're just going to keep it simple. And that right there is why that color is still legendary. But I think we can get close with some of this other stuff, y'all. First run with LW125 in a hot minute for me. It has been a while. This has just sort of been one of those colors I'm just kind of keeping on the shelf. At this point, it's more of a collector's item, sort of like finding, a unicorn horn or something. You don't really know what to do with it, but you don't want to get rid of it either. So basically, I'm just hoarding it. It's even pretty just on the injector. Really great color. One of the all-time greats, folks. Truly, truly, truly. Alright, drum roll please for our Junebug 125 sample baits. And you guessed it, this is the new creature bait mold. I just can't get enough of it, people. Come at me in the comments if you're tired of seeing it. I'm just kidding, please don't. But no, I actually thought, well, this mold and a few others would really, really show this color well because of the thin appendages. So, there we go. Beautiful. So that is now our target. Whew, gonna be a hard mark to hit. It is deceptively difficult, which is probably why no one else has put out an exact pigment like it since, including Lureworks. When certain reds can no longer be sourced in the United States, it affects a lot of colors. We've seen it with MF motor oil and plenty of other pigments. So this one fell victim to sort of the same thing. Now Electric Grape is up to bat. We're going to start with 40 drops. 10. There's 20, 1, 2, 3, 30. Alright, there is 40 drops. Alright, so let's go ahead and stir it in and see what we get. Yep, right away, it's more of a blue base. Oops, sorry guys, just accidentally hit the camera. It is more blue than our Junebug 125. So, dead-on colors are non-bleed, right? There are no dye bases in them. However, the original Junebug 125 will bleed, which leads me to believe that whatever red gives it its red effect is in fact a dye. So we are going to add a red dye. This is cherry red, okay, which is something that you can actually still get. You've got to be careful not to add too much. There's one drop, okay. I really, really think we got to have a red dye in there. And I also think we need a little bit more saturation. That's maybe not quite there yet. All right, we need to up the saturation. There's 15 more drops of straight Electric Grape. Yeah. Boy, that's starting to look right. It's still not quite red enough though. Let's maybe add 2 drops this time. Getting close, y'all. I think it's time for flake. And one thing that you can keep in mind is if you maybe get it a little bit too red, what you can always do is this. I got out my blue just in case. You can add a drop or 2 of blue, which will sort of neutralize the red. So if you need to turn it a little bit back to blue, you can always do that by tiny amounts of blue. So this is really close, and I'm going to show y'all just how close I think it is. Wow, that is maybe to the eye almost indistinguishable which one is which. Okay, alright, so here's what we just did. And here is sort of the leftovers from the injector from the run of the real 125. If we hold them up to the light, look at that. That's how you can tell. Hold them up to the light, see if the hues are equal coming through the light. All right, here comes our Junebug 125 dead on electric grape match. That's a lot to try and get out, but nevertheless, here we go. I'm feeling really good about this. I guess we'll know in just a moment, right? Electric grape 125 match. Let's see how we did. Oh my gosh. Wow. Guys, that is really good. I am not gonna lie. For using a completely different pigment base altogether, wow. Let's get you in a little closer. What do y'all think? I'm loving it. Well, here comes the moment of truth. All right, can you tell which one is not our match, but the original? All right, let's look at them. Can you tell me which one is the true Junebug 125? There's only one in here. I snuck it in. There's only one. It's that one. You may have guessed if you are really, really paying close attention. Let's just look at the flaps there. It's maybe still slightly a little bit more red. I don't know. That's pretty close. I'm very happy with it, y'all. All right, now Black Grape is up to bat. And I went ahead and measured out 40 drops just because I figured y'all were probably tired of watching me count drops because we've done it so much already. Now, right out of the bat, this one looks closer just naturally, and I figured it would because same manufacturer, right? Probably some of the same actual raw pigment bases, you know, same plasticizers, you know, and, you know, the same people mixing the stuff up, right? However, we are still a tad low on saturation. Okay, so there's 20 more drops. Boy, that is so close. We will probably not have to make very many changes to this one. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. The thing about it is, Lureworks has a Junebug now, but, you know, I didn't particularly like it, so for the longest time, I was just running straight Black Grape, just like you see here. So we're going to kind of do the same little drizzle test and just see where we are. I definitely think the purple is pretty close. I think it's still going to need a little bit of red. Okay, there's a pretty good shot of it. We have the 125 original, and then we have the Black Grape. As you can see, the Black Grape, a lot more blue. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add some red dye to it, and that might dial it in just about right. Okay, here comes our cherry red. So let's start with one, okay? You can always add more, but you can't take it out after you've added it. Oh yeah. That is really nice. I think it needs 2 more drops. I was not really able to make a discernible or see a discernible difference. So we will add 2 more drops and hope that didn't just ruin it. But yeah, either way, I think it's going to turn out really, really close. All right, I think we got it. All right, that's with 2 more red drops. I think that's as close as I can get it to my eyeball. Here's our second match using the Black Grape base. Yeah, feels good. Felt good there. Alrighty. And for the final match attempt, another drum roll. I had somebody leave me a comment once that they were like so offended by the drum roll. And I'm like, dude, do you hear yourself? Like, you need a kick to the pants. Alright, I think this one is a little bit closer. And I think I know why. Because this is a Black Grape base, I get the darkness of the body where it's thicker. But I can still get that kind of Junebug reddish purple. in the tail because it's a black grape base. So maybe that is the secret. So here's the test. We will change one out for one of the originals with the 125. We'll just do the same thing as before. We'll just remove the middleman there, and we'll put in one of the originals. Yep, I think that is 100% a match. Just about as matched as it can get. I actually think my saturation on my black grape is a little bit more, which I guess makes sense. I think this one actually wound up with a little bit more than 40 drops. I don't quite remember, but just in terms of the overall hue, yeah, I definitely think that's it. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because it's same manufacturer, probably some of the same raw pigments again. You know, the same mind is mixing these colorants up, and it probably has a lot of the same ingredients overall. However, we added a little bit of cherry red, and I think that's about flawless, guys. Let's get two out. All right, and we'll look at them up close. Yeah, wow, that is really it. However, there is a slight difference that you can kind of see when you hold them up to the light. So I'll show you that real quick. So as matched as that is it perfect? Well, actually, no. All right, that is the 125 on the left. That is our black grape with the cherry red on the right. So as we can see, under the light, the 125 over here on the left is overall a little bit darker. This one's a little bit brighter, our black grape match, and you can see in the extremities a little bit more of that cherry red is coming out. So still a little bit different in the base, despite them looking so similar here in regular light. Crazy. At first glance, would you think that that is 3 different Junebugs totally altogether? Like not even close to the same pigment base? Okay, well technically maybe 2 are pretty close. But those are 3 different formulations. Pretty cool. So that's the original 125 over here. That's our dead-on electric grape match in the middle. And there is the black grape match on the far right. Both with added cherry red dye. Alright, so it might be a stupid question because they're all basically the same. Which one was your favorite, and which one do you think matched it best? Definitely got to go the slight edge to the black grape. I think I just added the right amount of red to it, and the nature of the black grape gave me the contrast a little bit better than the electric grape base, albeit a much different pigment base to start with. These two were much more similar. Well, so before I let y'all go, got to show you some cool recent work. Lots of worms here. That's blue crawl, of course. Some chameleon. Really neat. Check that out. Some black and blue laminate. And then some old motor oil. This is just part of one worm order for a customer that I gotta finish up. Alright everybody, that is gonna wrap this video up today. Pretty cool, and one neat observation that I've had is the camera, particularly when taking a still shot, does pick up some differences that are not quite as noticeable in person. So very interesting there. I find that to be interesting, the way that a camera lens can bring out maybe some things that you don't always see. So I found that to be pretty cool. But I'm actually really pleasantly surprised how this video went. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is just one of those pigments I've just been hoarding for a long time. I don't want to get rid of it, but I don't want to use all of it either. It's sort of a, it's sort of like your fine china. You just have it, and you only use it on occasion, but you don't throw it away. So for today's demonstration, I basically used the other 2 purple bases that I had. I had Dead On Electric Grape, and I had Lureworks Black Grape. Now obviously, you can use other ones, right? If you already have a Junebug from another manufacturer, let's say you have the current Lureworks Junebug, the current Dead On Junebug, the current anything Junebug. give that a try, right? Add some red to it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a red dye. I just know that that's probably what was in the original, and sort of, you know, today's video prompt was, can we recreate this? I think even more grand of an idea than that is recreate or create your own Junebug, right? Make the Junebug that you like the most, and I think this is a great way to start. You know, this one was probably the best one we've ever had, straight out of the bottle, and it definitely is something that I don't want to see disappear completely. So that's sort of what today was. You know, we kind of played Jurassic Park, and we tried to recreate something that was totally extinct, and I actually think we got pretty close. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. That was a fun little trip down memory lane for me. I've probably had this bottle well over a decade, and it's still pretty special. So we will see you guys in the next episode. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll catch you in the next one.